Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crypto Law. This is yours truly, Attorney Jeremy Hogan, and we are live on Crypto Law. Obviously, I am not John Deaton. He is much better looking than I am, but he's off doing his little thing with Massachusetts senator race, all that little stuff. I don't know. I'm here working. He's out there gallivanting around with politicians and raising money. So you are stuck with me for the next 10 to 15 minutes. But don't worry, it is clothing optional. So if you want to, go ahead and take off your clothes. I decided to keep mine on because I'm at work and I don't want to get sued for sexual harassment. In any case, so what are we going to talk about today? Well, we have a lot to cover, but I'm going to start off with talking about myself, which is my favorite topic. A lot of people on Twitter, okay, really only one person, have asked me, Jeremy, what have you been up to? You haven't been on Twitter a lot. You haven't been posting. And I'm going to tell you the story why that is. I was in London and I was at an event for a BPM wallet, 2ticks, which I'm going to talk about in a second. But I was talking to Crypto Area, and I don't know if you ever met her, but she's just like she is on Twitter. She's just like she is in her videos. And this is just after the opinion came out on the Ripple case, and she said, we really need to move on from the lawsuit. And I was like, what do you mean? I'm a lawyer. I love the lawsuit. This is my thing. And she said, well, Jeremy, that the XRPL needs to be the XRP ledger. And I feel like the lawsuits we need to move on past it because we need to get people into the ledger and develop the ecosystem. And, she's very wise. She knows her stuff. She's been doing this for a long time. And she has kind of these wise eyes, kind of like you're looking into an owl's eyes, and she's like telling you things. And I'm like, you know what? That's right. So that's what I've been doing. I've been backing off because I'm going to say I'm not going to talk about the legal stuff as much anymore. But I've been lurking. I've been on Twitter. I've been learning, and I've been, seeing all the discussions about the AMM and whether Ripple's escrow is keeping the price restrained. And I think those are healthy conversations that the community is having. I just don't have much to add to them, to be honest, because it's not my thing. But that's what I've been doing on Twitter. But also to get more into the subject that I wanted to talk about today, in the blockchain space, I've been involved with a couple projects, and I wanted to tell you about them really quickly, not just to to pimp the projects or anything, but because it kind of floats into what I wanted to talk to you about as far as the battle and the war against crypto. So in the last 6 or 9 months, I've been involved with a couple of crypto projects in addition to my regular law practice. And the first one is called 2ticks. And 2ticks is an NFT ticketing platform, which is built on the XRP ledger, and it will literally revolutionize the ticketing industry. I just bought a ticket to a soccer game for $45 and had to pay over $6 just for the privilege of using the Ticketmaster platform. So imagining doing the same thing for a couple of pennies and having a better and more involved experience. That is what they are building. I've also been working with a project called Certicos Sign. Now, Certicos has built an e-signature platform, which is kind of like a DocuSign, which trustlessly stores your e-sign documents onto the blockchain where they are held and where they are immutable until you or the other party want to retrieve them. And instead of paying $5 for a signature, you are paying, let's try 5 or 6 cents. So yes, that could be a game changer. I've also been working with a project called Carbon Kerma. Kerma, I think, is Greek for coin. But anyway, Carbon Kerma is a carbon credit trading platform, which is combining blockchain and carbon capture. And what it does is it tokenizes carbon credits, and then it puts them on an exchange so that it minimizes in the carbon credit industry. There's a big problem because if you have carbon credits that you can sell, the chances that you could sell them at this exchange and then go and sell them here and then sell them there, it's called double counting. So it minimizes the chances of double counting. And literally, it is technology that could lead to a cleaner environment. And finally, I've been working with a project called MyTerra. On Twitter, you can find them. I think it's at MyTerra360. And MyTerra is first and foremost a workplace chemical and hazard exposure tracking software. I know, sounds boring. But it also solves a big problem because it uses a public blockchain where, for example, Ford Motor Company could keep track of all of its employees' exposure to hazards and chemicals. And then let's say, for example, someone's working at Ford and they're exposed to a certain chemical. When they leave and go to work at Mercedes or wherever, what's the chance that Ford is going to share its exposure data with Mercedes? It's zero. It wouldn't do that. So by having it on a public blockchain, that worker that was working at Ford could have his exposure data or her exposure data transferred, or you wouldn't have to transfer it would just be still on the public blockchain, and then could access it while they're working at Mercedes. So this is literally software technology that could save lives. So, and these are just 4 examples from things that I'm involved with, and I'm just, a small little attorney here in Orlando. So, point being is that these projects, and this is what I really want to talk to you about, this technology that could save you money, save you time, make your lives better, even saves lives, it's all under attack. And it's an attack that's just not a limit of what we can do with it, but it's an attack that literally would make it illegal here in the US. And I want to explain how and why. And so during my 15 minutes, I'm asking you guys to wake up, get involved, get political. If you are a developer, if you're a lawyer, if you're an investor in crypto, we are at war. And unfortunately, the other army is being led by, you guessed it, Chief Elizabeth Warren.
There's a new threat out there. It's crypto, and it is being used for terrorist financing. It is being used for drug trafficking. North Korea is using it to pay for about half of its nuclear weapons program. We can't allow that to continue.
Oof. Well, there she is. That's Senator Warren, and she hates crypto, and she is leading the tribe, we should call it the tribe, I guess, the tribe which is fighting against crypto in the United States of America. And the good news is that, though, she's a very truthful person, so she would never lie about anything.
New trouble for Senator Elizabeth Warren, which is just days before she's expected to formally kick off her presidential campaign. The Washington Post is out with a new report revealing a document where Warren claims Native American heritage in her own handwriting.
I'm sorry. Every time it gets me. Yes, she said that one of her ancestors has high cheekbones, and therefore she's Native American. In any case, yes, Senator Warren has authored the Digital Asset Anti-Money Laundering Act, which sounds like a very nice, easy piece of legislation. And this is the current and largest battle against crypto there is. Now, a lot of people are paying attention to the courts, and the cases that are in the courts are important, and I'm preferential to them, of course. But the biggest battle in the crypto space has moved from the courts, which move slow, as you can know with the Ripple case, and are ponderous. The biggest battle has moved to legislation, because there is a good chance that we get legislation in 2025. And the thing is that the legislation that's passed cannot be Senator Warren's bill. So we're going to take a look at that, and I'm going to explain why to you. But first, let's see how this is set up. Now, Senator Warren has set up the bill in a very traditional way. So this is not something that's never been done before. She first vilifies it and then tells us that we have to regulate it. So the idea is you make us scared of it, and then you say, therefore, we have to pass laws to regulate it. So it's a very old playbook, and here's how it works in her bill. Let's take a look. This is like an outline of her bill. But if you want to take a look at that very first paragraph, and this is just an outline, of course, but this is what it says. Treasury Department, Department of Justice, and the FBI, and other national security and law enforcement experts have warned that digital assets are increasingly being used for money laundering, ransomware attacks, theft and fraud schemes, trafficking, terrorist financing, and other crimes. Rogue nations like Iran, Russia, and North Korea, which has emerged as one of the world's most prolific crypto criminals, stealing $1.7 billion in digital assets in 2022 alone, have turned to digital assets to evade sanctions and fund illegal weapons programs. So there you can see, she links it to all of the horrible actors, Iran, North Korea, Russia, everyone that the U.S. Hates. And she said, this is how they're getting illegal money. And the problem with that is, of course, she has a kind of a truthfulness problem in the past. She's probably going to have a truthfulness problem in the future. And all of those statements are built on half-truths and lies. And it's important that you keep your eyes open and be aware, because The people that are putting out the numbers are more than willing to look the other way when it comes to how these numbers are come across. Now, luckily, I think we have, I forget his name, but the GOP majority whip recently kind of called this out when he was talking to the, I think it was the Undersecretary of the Treasury. And we have a clip here. It's a little bit long. It's 1 minute and 20 seconds. But listen to what they're doing. Listen to how they're coming up with these numbers, because I think he does a good job of exposing it in this clip.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank Chairman McHenry for holding this important hearing today, and I want to thank you, all of our witnesses, or our witnesses, for your testimony. On October 10th, 2023, the Wall Street Journal reported that between August 2021 and June 2023, Hamas received 41 million in digital assets, and the Palestinian Islamic Jihad received 93 million in digital assets. Undersecretary Nelson, is this Treasury's assessment too? Because the world's leading blockchain analytics firms have called this a misinterpretation of the data, and that the amount that any terrorist might have received is significantly smaller.
Thank you for that question, Congressman. And yes, I think that assessment largely tracks with our own. The numbers noted in the Wall Street Journal piece talked about wallets, but not necessarily the sort of disaggregated among the wallets customers.
It's assets that people had in their wallets, as opposed to what was specifically going to the Palestinian Islamic Jihad and Hamas.
That's what we think is most likely. And we also assess that terrorists still prefer, frankly, to use traditional products and services. But this is something that we are obviously monitoring very closely.
So you see what they're doing, and he did. I think Senator Emmer did a good job of exposing this. They are using the total amount of digital assets in a wallet instead of the actual amount that was allegedly illegally funneled to a bad actor. So that is the type of people we're dealing with. Those are the type of numbers that we're dealing with. You have to be on your guard as to how they're coming up with these numbers, because they want to vilify crypto. This is the easiest way to say that bad actors are getting these funds illegally. And if you think about it, using a public blockchain is the absolute worst possible way to launder money or to illegally move money, because everyone can see the transaction. So it's a stupid way to do it. And when Russia wanted to buy something from China, I think it was a couple fighter jets, they didn't use Bitcoin. Of course, they were slower than fighter jets, but they didn't use Bitcoin. They sent them a bunch of gold. Simple. So be aware that this is how the numbers are being arrived at, and you have to call them out in these lies. Now, the second part of the bill, which is the actual law, I want to talk about that really quickly now. So this is the second part of the bill, and this is just outlined again, but I want to just take a quick look at the very first two parts, because I want to tell you, it seems innocuous, but it really is out there, and it's going to kill crypto if it passes. So the first part is, this is what the digital asset bill would do. This is Senator Warren's bill. It would extend the Bank Secrecy Act responsibilities, including know your customer requirements, to digital asset wallet providers, miners, validators, and other network participants that may act to validate, secure, or facilitate digital asset transactions. So what does that mean? It sounds very innocuous. So know your customer requirements are something that banks have to do. When you open up an account with them, they have to get your driver's license, make sure you are who you are. Banks spend a lot of money on this, on this stuff. So KYC, AML requirements are very onerous to comply with. And what this bill will do is it would require little John Smith, 21-year-old John Smith, who's running a Gala node in his basement, would have to KYC and AML every other person who he either transfers or validates the blockchain to. It'd be impossible. So basically it would make it illegal, because John Smith in his basement is not going to be able to get everyone's driver's license and make sure they are who they are. Plus AML requirements, require like a whole program. You have to have lawyers and accountants involved. And so it sounds very innocuous, but it would kill the node structure that we have. I mean, Daniel XRP would have to, spend $100,000 in order to comply with this, but it's just not going to happen. So that first part would literally make the node system illegal. Now let's take a look at the second part, because of course they want to completely destroy crypto. And this second part kind of does away with the other half of that equation. And here's what it says, that the new bill would address a major gap with respect to unhosted digital wallets, which allows individuals to bypass AML and sanctions checks by directing FinCEN to finalize and implement its December 22 proposed rule, which would require banks and money service businesses to verify customer and counterparty identities, et cetera, involving unhosted wallets or wallets hosted in non-BSA compliant jurisdiction. So that sounds kind of innocuous, and they kind of frame it in some kind of weird language. But really what they're doing there is they are making your cold wallet storage illegal. That is going after your cold wallets. So they're killing nodes, they're killing validators, and they're killing wallets. They are killing crypto in its entirety. And this bill, as radical as that seems to you, is not dead on arrival in the Senate. No, Senator Warren has drummed up 19 senators out of 100 who are already on the record supporting it. And you would think if she could get all the Democrats on board, she's going to have about half of the Senate. And don't just take my word for it. We have a clip now from Perry Ann, DC, with the Chamber of Digital Commerce, saying that she agrees with me.
It's important that the industry understands that in the Senate, Elizabeth Warren has put forward a bill that would effectively ban this industry in the United States. She has really misconstrued what this legislation does. She doesn't purport it to be a ban. She calls it an anti-money laundering regulatory fix for crypto, which really is very misleading because it puts unworkable requirements on the technology itself. She's been able to recruit 19 co-sponsors to this bill. So we have 19% of the US Senate today is on record wanting to effectively ban cryptocurrencies in the United States. We are facing an existential threat today in Washington.
And there you have it from someone in DC, an insider, and not just little old me. So yes, that is what we are dealing with. Someone who is willing to be truthy, maybe is the best way to say it, and is willing to kill all of crypto in the United States. It would be done here if this bill passes. And this bill is not dead on arrival. It is not. So we are at war, and that's what is going on. Now, let's take it to the next level. Okay, stay with me. Now, if this is happening, the easy answer is why? What's in it for Senator Warren? Now, obviously, the answer is she's in bed with the banks, right? Of course, that's what crypto is a threat to. But there are people that maybe think that there's even something more going on. So let's go a little bit on the edge here, and let's see what could be the big plan to kill crypto. Let's see what's going on there, maybe.
Exactly her master plan, every word of it.
Why does she hate Bitcoin? Because it's the antithesis of a central bank digital currency. And that's her long-term goal, is to implement a CBDC over time. But in order to prepare the soil for that, she has to make that soil radioactive for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. And that's what she's aiming to do with her AML bill. This bill essentially would make it practically illegal for a teenager mining Bitcoin or other cryptocurrency in his mom's basement. He would have to comply with the same regulatory burdens that a bank like Goldman Sachs has to do. In other words, it would be impossible, right? It would make it illegal to practically touch cryptocurrency or Bitcoin in the United States. But that's by design. Elizabeth Warren intends to do that because if she can get regulations in place that make it impossible to do anything Bitcoin related in the US, she knows she'll drive innovation offshore. And that essentially prepares the way for a CBDC, which is what I believe she's been trying to do this whole time.
And there you have it. I'm glad that kid said it and not me, because he can sound a little bit edgy. I stay mainstream. Very nice. But smart guy, so maybe he's not far off. Now, this is the battle. It's coming up in November. There's an election. This is the war. It's about killing crypto, but it's also about possibly, if we believe what the young gentleman said, about killing your right to privacy, because once we have a CBDC, everything you spend your money on, everything you do, they will know. So the fight against Elizabeth Warren is the battle. There is an election in November, and each and every one of you must be involved. developers, lawyers, even if you just go into crypto as an investment to 10x your money. There's no room for maxiness of any sort. This is blockchain against the banks to the death. Reach out to your Bitcoin maxis, your Solana friends, your Dogecoin boys. Everyone has to come together and fight against this, because otherwise it could very well be the end of crypto. Because if this bill is passed, that's it. Game over, lights out. And even if we manage to defeat it, it does have to be a resounding victory. It's not enough just to get this one bill barely to not squeak by, because that will only embolden them to try again next year. So you know what to do. I can't say it, but you know. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's crypto law program. And first, before I go, I must say thank you to Blaine, Kevin, and Abby. These guys work for free behind the scenes. They did all the clips. They set it all up for me. All I had to do was write an outline and then basically talk about it. So thank you guys. You guys do an excellent job. I hope you enjoyed, everyone. And remember, you know what to do. Now put your clothes back on. Have a good day.